When you're just getting started with crafting, it's hard to know where you should spend your money and where you should save it. That's why in today's video, I'm going to walk you through where you should spend your money when you're buying a glue gun. Do you want to buy a dollar store glue gun, or do you want to buy a more expensive glue gun? In this video, I'm going to walk you through some things you should know about different types of glue guns so that you can make an informed decision when you're spending your money. So let's jump in. Before we get started, I wanted to quickly walk you through the two glue guns that I have to give you an idea of what we're dealing with before we do a comparison on them. So this here is my dollar store glue gun, and I bought it for about $3 a few years ago at the dollar store. Nothing at the dollar store actually costs $1 anymore. And it's small. It's got a single finger trigger, and it has a built-in attachment for a stand for it. And it also has a cable. This cable is not too long, but typically it's good enough to connect into the extension cord that I have on the floor. And also this glue gun takes the small glue sticks, and I'll show you what those look like in a moment versus the large ones. This is my large Ryobi glue gun. It is a battery operated glue gun, and we use Ryobi tools, so that's why we went with the Ryobi. I have a rechargeable battery. It takes the 18 volt lithium batteries as well as the 12 volt lithium batteries. I find that the 18 volts last longer, obviously, because it's bigger. So that's why I use these ones, but you can use the smaller ones. These typically go online for about $40 to $80, depending on what price point they're at the time. But you also need to consider buying the battery and the charger extra, which may put your price up to over $120, depending on when you're buying it. This has a large glue stick that goes into the back, and it's got a double finger trigger, so it might be a little bit easier for people with hand problems to hold on to, but it is much heavier. And just as a quick comparison, these are the two different types of glue sticks that you have. This is the small glue stick, which is about 5/16 inches in diameter, and this is the large one, which is about 1/2 inch and maybe 3/8 of an inch in diameter. So they're a lot thicker, but they're also a lot longer, which is nice when you're working on projects. So when you're considering buying a glue gun, having a glue gun that takes the larger glue sticks is beneficial because this will last you a lot longer and you won't need to refill it as often in your glue gun. If you're crafting a lot, the weight of the glue gun might actually play an impact on your crafting. So I thought it would be important to show you how much these glue guns actually weigh. So this little dollar store glue gun with about half of a glue stick inside of it weighs 2 ounces, which isn't very heavy at all. Now this bigger guy without the battery weighs 14 ounces, but if I put the battery into it and place it on my scale here, you'll notice that it weighs 2.7 pounds. That's a lot, or so I should say 2 pounds, 7 ounces. That's quite the workout for your arm if you're doing a lot of crafting. So it might actually be something to consider when you're using your glue gun. When I got this glue gun, I didn't really realize it, but it does come with a stand, which is nice and convenient. But this glue gun weighs so little that if I move the cable around at all, it will fall over. So what I've done is I've made a little glue gun stand where my glue gun can kind of sit, so if it falls over, it's always leaking into the container and not onto my workspace. If you want to learn how to make this glue gun holder, I've left a link in the description of the video to my blog where I walk you through how to make one, but I've also left a link to a video here that you can watch where I've got some other tips and tricks about using glue guns, and there's a cute little one for holding up your glue guns if they don't have a good glue gun holder, or a glue gun stand I should say. So this is something to keep in mind. Bigger corded glue guns will have, or some of them have, built-in stands, but this is something important to keep in mind when you're looking to buy a glue gun, because you want the glue gun facing downwards so that the glue pours out and doesn't get clogged inside of the mechanism here. Most battery operated glue guns will stand by themselves because the battery is at the bottom. And this allows the glue to drip out down bottom out the front if it needs to, but you don't need an additional stand for this. Even when I'm using this glue gun, I still use my glue gun tray here that I've got to collect the glue that's dripping, because regardless of the type of glue that you buy, it will drip over time because the glue turns to liquid at the edge here, and it will just drip out because it's liquid. Also, if you don't want to use a tray like this, I recommend that you just get a silicone mat or even just a piece of paper for your glue to leak out on so that doesn't ruin your work surface, because this glue, once it dries, can be difficult to take off. The next thing that I want to talk to you about is the heat time required for a glue gun. Now, typically glue guns that are corded will heat up faster, but I just want to show you a demonstration by how quickly these glue guns will heat up so that you have an idea of what you're getting yourself into. So just under a minute, this glue is already starting to come out. You can see it coming out there. It's not hot enough to actually be used yet, but it's starting to bead out slowly. So we're gonna wait a little bit longer and then we will see if it's ready to use. So now at about a minute 10, the glue is hot enough inside that it'll come out of our glue gun. Most battery operated glue guns have an on-off switch. So this is gonna be what we use turn it on and to turn it off, obviously. And so we're going to start measuring this guy here as well to see how long it takes to heat up. Now typically battery operated glue guns take longer to heat up than corded glue guns, so this process will take a little bit longer. At about the 2-minute mark, there's still no glue coming out at the tip. Still nothing at 3 minutes. At 4 minutes, it's just getting a little bit of a bead coming out, which isn't enough to actually start gluing with yet, so we still have to let it heat up a little bit longer. So 4 minutes and 50 seconds is about where it stops, and it's now at a usable temperature. Now while my glue gun is hot, I want to quickly demonstrate to you how much glue you can use, or how much glue comes out per trigger. So I've just got a piece of paper here, and I'm going to run a bead of glue along this paper to show you how much you can get for one trigger. And this will play an important part into your crafting because you want to have a good amount of glue coming out. So we're going to do 2 beads so that we can have some consistency. So I've got about 12 inches there on my first run, and I'm going to do it again for a second run. Well, this one didn't work as well. We're going to try one more time. Oh, I need more glue, that's the problem. Good. So as I mentioned, the short glue sticks don't work as well because they run out faster, so I've had to recharge here. So we're going to give it another shot and put our glue through here and see how far it goes now that we have enough glue. So we've got about 12 inches again. Near the end it started to sort of wobble off of the page, but we got a good 12 inches. So that's a decent distance for one shot with our glue gun. Some glue guns will do just a shorter distance, so this is really nice to have. So we're again going to do a quick comparison here for our glue gun trigger length, I guess is what it's called. So we're using the same sheet of paper that we had before, and I've got my dollar store 3 up here, and I'm going to give this glue gun a shot as well. And so again, what we're going to do is we're just going to pull a bead of glue across to see how far this comes for us per one trigger pull. So that's the first trigger pull, not fantastic. Maybe about halfway, and down here at the end it didn't do a very good job. And now we're going to pull it one more time. I'm gonna recharge my glue stick here. And we're going to give it a third go. So this one didn't do as good as my dollar store one did, but you'll notice here that the initial bead coming out of the glue is a lot thicker. I'm going to give it one more go because I'm worried that my glue stick is running low here. So for the last one I did an extra one here once I put in my extra glue gun, my glue stick. It made it all the way to the end, but I had a very small tail here at the end as opposed to the big thick glue streak that I had at the front. So you can see that just based off of one pull, this glue gun actually didn't do as well as the dollar store glue gun did. So that's something to keep in mind when you are using glue guns, is that they're not all created equal for what you get when you pull it on your trigger. And finally, when you're using this glue gun, you have to unplug it to turn it off, as there is no on and off switch on this glue gun. And then again, with these glue guns, you need to remember to turn it off when you're done because it will just keep draining the battery. Alright, so I just wanted to quickly go through some pros and cons about each of these now that we've done a few little bits of tests and information going over them. So let's talk about this dollar store version first. So the pros for this is that it never runs out of power because it's always plugged in, which is good. But a con for that is that you have to be close enough to a power supply to use this. That's okay so long as you've got an extension cord. This is very light and it actually does a very good job pulling out 1 bead of glue per trigger. So that's nice. You're getting about 12 inches with that. Some of the cons is, even though this glue gun doesn't weigh very much, the cord can cause it to fall and it gets in the way of doing work. So just having my cord around will make it fall, but I can use this stand to help, but I've got the one that I've made previously to make sure it doesn't fall over. Another con for this glue gun is that it uses the small glue sticks, and I'm not a huge fan of those. I prefer the larger glue sticks, but you can always buy a larger glue gun from the dollar store that accepts the larger glue sticks. So onto our battery operated glue gun. So some pros and cons. The pro for this is that I can use this anywhere and it never gets in the way. So this is really good for bigger projects, especially when I do my Halloween projects. Having the ability to walk around with this and not worry about a cord is fantastic. I love that it uses the larger glue sticks and that this stands up by itself. Is a great feature for me because I don't want to have it falling all over the place. So some of the cons. The battery runs out for this, and I'm typically pretty good at remembering to charge the battery, but there are times where I forget and I turn it on and I wait for it to heat up, and then all of a sudden I realize that there's no battery on this. So that's a big con for me. Sometimes if I don't remember, it will not be usable. So I'll have to pull out my little dollar store guy. Another con for this is that it takes a long time to heat up. So we went over that, and it's almost 5 minutes for this to heat up to be a usable temperature. Now, when I'm using this, I know that it takes a long time, so I plan on that and I start heating it up long before I need it. But if you're just starting with crafting, having to wait that extra 5 minutes can deter you from wanting to do crafts. So that's a big con, is that it takes so long. But any battery operated glue gun will take longer than a corded one, so it's something to keep in mind. So which glue gun is best? That's really going to depend on what you're using it for and what your budget is. But if you're just getting started out, I really recommend you start off with one of these dollar store glue guns. It's a great bang for your buck and they last a long time. And if you're lucky enough, your dollar store might have the ones that are larger that'll allow you to use the bigger glue sticks, which is really beneficial when you're doing lots of crafting. If you're looking for a glue gun that's more versatile for bigger projects, these cordless battery operated ones are fantastic, but you can always just get an extension cord and plug this guy into a wall farther away and keep working with this instead. So I hope this video has been helpful for you in helping you understand what you might need out of a glue gun. If you've enjoyed this video, be sure to hit the subscribe button and check out these other videos that I've made that you might also find interesting. Thanks so much for watching, and happy crafting.